Welcome to December 21st, 2022 meeting of the Sandusky City Commission. We have an invocation offered by Commissioner Murray, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
God, who is creator of all of us, we give thanks for your divine imagination. We are truly blessed as your children, boys and girls, women and men, unique and individual and special in your eyes. The tapestry of life that you have woven together is good, beautiful, warm, intimate, vivid, creative, rich, and textured with the threads, stories, tales, histories, and traditions of individuals, families, and communities. We give thanks for the life you have given us and for the delights, challenges, relationships, and experiences that this makes possible. For it is the centering and grounding that you provide that enables us to stand strong and alert, purposefully committed to helping others and to building a community that is just and inclusive, and for this we give you thanks. Although we are near the darkest hour of the year, we place our hope in your light and ask for the blessings of guidance, support, and advice from our family and friends, our leaders and mentors and teachers, and for them we give thanks. We dare to ask further for peace on earth and goodwill toward all men and women at this time. We give you thanks, O God, for our talents, our strengths, and our values, tempered by the humility occasioned by the knowledge that we owe all of these to you. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Myers, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Meinzer? Mr. Poole?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Brady?
Here.
Mr. Pajali?
Here.
Mr. Waddington?
Here.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray.
move to excuse Mr. Meinzer.
Second.
And a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, the motion be approved. Hearing no objection, Mr. Meinzer is excused. Commissioners, you have before you the minutes of our special of our last meeting, December the 12th. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Waddington.
move that we accept the minutes of the December 12th meeting and dispense with the formal reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved. And hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Any residents with comments regarding tonight's agenda, please step to the podium. Share with us your name and address and your thoughts on the agenda items. Seeing no one rushing to the poll, we'll move on. Commissioners, you have before you several communications from staff recommending various pieces of legislation. Can I have a motion to accept these communications?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion? Without objection, that motion will be approved. And hearing no objection, that motion is approved. Commissioners, we have 5 items on the consent agenda this evening. Do any of you wish to move any of those consent items to the regular agenda? Ms. Myers, will you present the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. Item A, 2022 General Budget Amendment Number 9. Item B, Temporary Appropriations for 2023. Item C, Tiffin Avenue Water Main Lining Change Order Number 1 and Final. Item D, 2 easements for Church Street. Item E, Vacation for Church Street Extension, second reading.
Commissioners, having heard these ordinances, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray.
I move for the adoption of these ordinances pursuant to the charter section indicated in the communication.
Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you call the roll on that motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinances.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
Those ordinances are passed, including the second reading of the last ordinance. We'll turn to our regular agenda. Ms. Myers, you present item number 1, please.
Yes, Mr. President. It's requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to purchase 4 PowerEdge servers and 2 Dell storage arrays from Computers at Work Incorporated from Naples, Florida, through the State of Ohio Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program for the Big Island Waterworks Plant and the wastewater treatment plant, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, will you call the roll on that motion, please?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes,
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
that ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 2, please.
Yes, Mr. President. It is requested an ordinance be passed authorizing and directing the city manager to purchase a Power Edge server with storage array from Computers at Work of Naples, Florida, through the State of Ohio Department of Administrative Services Cooperative Purchasing Program for the Information Technology Department, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, how do you wish to proceed?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harris.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter. Second.
Got a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you call roll on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Waddington?
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
That ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 3, please.
Yes, Mr. President. It is requested an ordinance be passed approving a wage increase for the city's non-probationary administrative employees, authorizing the finance director to expend the necessary funds, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on that motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes,
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
that ordinance is passed. Ms. Myers, you present item number 4, please.
It is requested an ordinance be passed approving the fee schedule for the Mills Creek Golf Course established by the city manager pursuant to Section 973.02 of the codified ordinances of the city of Sandusky, and declaring that this ordinance shall take immediate effect in accordance with Section 14 of the city charter.
Commissioners, having heard this ordinance, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harris.
I move for the adoption of this ordinance under suspension of the rules in full accordance with Section 14 of the city charter. Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waddington.
I looked at the amounts of the fees that went up. We're still by far the lowest rate around. And I like it because it's I always call it a lunch pail golf course or blue collar golf course. So we get a different array. We get millionaires play it once in a while, and then we got regular Joes like myself out there. So I think it's neat. And the pricing, I haven't heard anybody squabble about that, so.
Very, very affordable, to say the least. Additional discussion, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole?
beyond the money we take in, what are we spending to keep this afloat? Make money, lose money, how much?
Would have that answer.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Murray?
I can address it to a certain extent. So, I mean, the golf course is very much a park. We don't make money on any of our parks. It's provided as an amenity to people to enjoy, to recreate, to exercise. I think it's a good thing that we do it. I don't believe that we've looked at this in years past, it's been quite a while, but the golf course is by no means self-sustaining. It's a long way short of that. The fees that are charged cover part of the cost, a significant part of the cost, but I don't suppose it's much more than half the cost. And we also have capital expenditures that, one of the things that drives me crazy about government accounting is that those are in different accounts. If it were accounted for privately, you take the capital improvements, you'd amortize them over a period of time. They'd carry whatever debt load they carry, and interest load, I should say. But we don't account for it that way. So, but I know that it's a significantly subsidized enterprise, just like transit and all of our parks. So I know that much.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Poole?
I agree that it's an amenity that we have to pay for. In order to make a reasonable decision about whether or not the rates are within reason, it's a comparison between what others charge and how much it costs us to run the golf course. So it's not that I think we shouldn't do it, but to be prudent managers of the money, because whatever money we put into the golf course above what it pays for itself is money that can't be spent on other things. And I think knowing what the number is just gives me some information for making those kinds of decisions that I think are important. Just ignoring it, writing it off as well, we just have to do it, doesn't make sense. There's no way to make an intelligent decision about whether or not we're managing it properly. And that's why I asked.
I can share with you that this coming year will be significantly better than the last year, in that this is the first year that the golf course will not have the burden of a $38,000 lease payment to pay. So we start $38,000 ahead of where we were last year at this point in time. So that's about all I know about the books. Additional comments, commissioners? Ms. Myers, you poll the commission on the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
Yes.
And now on the ordinance.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Pajali?
Yes.
Mr. Waddington?
That ordinance is passed. That concludes our regular agenda. We'll turn to our city manager for his report.
Good evening, commissioners, audience, and staff. I have 3 donations. The first one is a donation of $1,000 was received from Smith's Top Notch through the Remember Cruisin' Club for the Canine Fund. The second is Rhonda Watt donated $250 to Sandusky Rec to purchase Christmas gifts for the students participating in the out-of-school fall program at Mills. And the last one is Stephen Tammy Hammer from the Sandusky Bait Company donated 4 cases of water and 2 boxes of fruit snacks for use in the upcoming winter programs.
Can I have a motion, commissioners, to accept those donations?
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second discussion. Without objection, that motion will be approved. Hearing no objection, that motion is approved with our thanks to all 3 of those donors.
And with the upcoming storm that's coming throughout the area, the extreme temperatures in the forecast, the warming center at New Jerusalem Baptist Church at 1920 Henry Way will be open from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. beginning the night of Friday, December 23rd through Monday, December 26th. Rides to the warming center can be provided by Sandusky Transit or Sandusky Police if needed. Volunteers to help staff the warming center are still needed, and donations of food or cases of water will be accepted as well. If you would like to volunteer or donate, please call Dora Grant at 419-204-2201. Any updates and announcements of future warming center openings will be posted to the City of Sandusky Facebook page and www.cityofsandusky.com/warming center. I want to thank Ms. Gilson for coordinating with Dora on getting the warming center open. We have let her know that we have funds available should she need them for the warming center, and right now she doesn't need them. So, but she's aware that if we need to provide some funding for that, that's available.
Great.
For the fire department, in June 2022, Sandusky Fire Department applied for 2 components of the First Responder Wellness Recruitment and Resiliency Grant funded through the American Rescue Plan Act. On December 13th, SFD was awarded the wellness component of the grant, consisting of $11,630.50. This money will be used for counseling services for fire department personnel to help deal with the stresses that they encountered performing their duties during the COVID-19 pandemic. SFD has not heard the results of the staffing component, but they are hopeful they will be considered in future rounds of the grant. For Public Works, an OPWC grant was awarded in the amount of $175,000 to cover part of the city's required contribution for the concrete portion of Milan Ave between the US 250 overpass and Milan Road as part of ODOT's urban paving program in 2024 with Venice Road. Award of these dollars mean the equivalent funds which were originally allocated from issue 8 can be pushed to local street resurfacing. Unfortunately, the application for Superior Street was not awarded. The Forestry Division will be performing Christmas tree collection throughout the city during the week of January 9th, and will distribute further details through our website and social media. Residents may also drop off trees from January 9th through the 13th at 2 locations, the Shelby Street Boat Launch Overflow Parking Lot or the Kiwanis Park Parking Lot. For questions regarding Christmas tree collection, please call 419-627-5884. For community development, an RFQ has been issued for services related to the development of a proposed recreation center. The December 20th, 2022 release invites qualified architectural and engineering design firms with relevant expertise to submit their qualifications to determine the location and design of a new recreation center. The RFQ stresses that the site must be centrally located and large enough to contain most, if not all, of the programs envisioned by the residents, commissioners, and city staff, and that the new facility includes both indoor and outdoor recreation programs and events. Citywide community engagement will be a critical component to the site selection and site program confirmation. Stay tuned for more information in the coming year. And for recreation, several camps and programs are available for registration at www.cityofsandusky.com/recreation. Sandusky Rec's annual winter break and new winter out-of-school program are open for registration. Midtown Supper Club meets New Orleans is already full of chefs in training, but spots remain for the sewing, music, theater, and dance component of the program. Gymnasts for the month of January, February, and March are also open for signups. Follow Sandusky Rec at www.facebook.com/Sandusky Rec for up-to-the-minute information. And that concludes.
Questions or comments for our interim city manager?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray?
simply like to highlight one aspect of the recreation center. So, been asked by so many people what that's going to involve, and the answer is we don't know right now. And how much is it going to cost? Well, we don't know that right now. But we are going to go through a planning process where we're going to ask the residents what they want, and we're going to have to prioritize, because the challenge of building a rec center is always that it means all things to all people. And we can't afford all things. We can afford some things, and we need to figure out what's most important to our residents. And the other thing that I would like to make sure that we keep in mind is we have discussed the fact that the Sandusky Library's levy that supports the retirement of the bonds that they took out as part of the improvements so many years ago. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was a long time ago. I think it was 20 years ago. That is coming to a close soon. And the thought is that that could be extended as a no new tax way to support the rec center. I will tell you that I think it would be imprudent for us to create or build a rec center without having a sustainable funding source for that in the down years. The down times come, and things get cut, and rec centers are always what get cut. You're not going to cut police, you're not going to cut fire, you're not going to cut roads, you're not going to cut water, you're not going to cut sewer. You're going to cut operations at the rec center. And then we have a large building that we've paid a lot of money for that's just there unused, and it declines because it's not getting the kind of maintenance that it needs. So I fully support going forward with getting RFQs and finding out, who can help us best with this process. But at the end of the day, and at the end of next year, I think we're going to need to have a vote on whether the public wants to continue funding this by extending the library levy. Again, no new taxes, but a wonderful way to go from supporting books to supporting kids and young adults, and I guess older adults. They all use the rec center. So just want to mention that. Thank you.
And Mr. Murray, if I understand you correctly, you and many of us are thinking in terms of the library levy providing the source of funding to manage the rec center, not to build the rec center.
Correct.
We've kind of figured out we're going to build the rec center.
Yeah.
And where we're going to use that money is going to come from a different source, but this would be a reliable and continuous source to manage and operate the day-to-day operations.
Excellent.
Additional comments from the city manager?
Mr. Chairman, I would just mention that I agree with both of your comments, you and Mr. Murray. I think it's very important that we have a dedicated funding source to maintain that rec center, because the easy part is building it. When rec centers fail, they fail because there's no money to maintain them. My only other question is, would the Recreation Department, and maybe this can't be answered right now, would the Recreation Department run the operation, or would we bring somebody in to run the operation?
I'm not sure that's a known quantity unless Mr. Murray has some insight on that. I'm not sure that we know that, the answer to that question.
Okay.
I-
To be determined.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Murray?
I will say it's always been my belief that it would be operated by our own staff.
Okay.
But I don't know that, and that, the answer to that question will be up to a future commission and a future city manager.
And perhaps the cost analysis of that too. There, oftentimes, I think you find, especially in government, that you can sometimes buy that service in the private sector and move it into a government operation much more efficiently than you can do it yourself. So I guess, again, to be determined, I think that's one of those things, has to be a benefit cost analysis done about it, and we'll certainly do that.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Poole?
correct me if I'm wrong, I think I read the material and it indicated this was going to be a $10 to $12 million expenditure.
Yes.
And I think it was $100,000 to $200,000 for the folks with the RFQ that we're getting for. Honestly, I think I'm not comfortable with spending $200,000 for someone to tell us where we should build a rec center, or just to hold a few public meetings to ask the public where they want it. I think we should be able to do that on our own, identify where it is. If you say centrally located, there's only so many places in town that can be done. I'm just not prepared to spend this kind of money up front until we've actually had the conversation with the community, and I think we should do it ourselves. And so that's just where I'm at. I'm not opposed to it, but with no idea what you're going to build, you have yet to say where the $10 to $12 million comes from. So that's just where I'm at now. So I'm not supporting this RFQ yet. I think we should be able to determine amongst the community ourselves what they actually want. So.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Herzog?
through you to Commissioner Poole and the other commissioners, it's always been my understanding that the rec center piece is going to be funded from the new admissions tax and parking tax from Cedar Point. There was a percentage, don't remember the exact amount, but there was a significant amount that would pay for the rec center for over 20 years. And it was about a $10 to $12 million estimate in that. So there is a funding source for the building of it. It's through the Cedar Point deal that you guys approved last year.
Additional comments or questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Mr. Murray?
I'd like to inquire of Mr. Orzak. As I understand, I haven't seen the RFQ, but as I understand it, it's for both helping to locate where it would go and to design it. So it's not simply a location exercise. It also at least gets us some way down the road to what a design might be. I don't know that it gets us to full construction drawings, but maybe someone can comment on that.
Do you know, Colleen? Or?
Sure, through the chair to the commission. It is a RFQ for site selection and design, preliminary design, which will also involve a community process.
I believe our intentions are to have that firm design and have a model or rendering so that when we go to the community next year for the tax levy that Mr. Murray was talking about, that we would have something to present to them so that they know what we're building and what the programming would entail.
Additional comments, Commissioners? Items of old business. Any items of old business, Commissioners? Any items of new business? Any items of new business, Commissioners? Oh, you're making it easy on me. Any public comments regarding any items regarding city business this evening? No public comments. You know, that only leaves us one more thing to do on our final meeting, and that's for me to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and ask for a motion to adjourn.